Everybody, it's Brandon, and welcome to a little bit of a different video, but we've been doing a few different videos over the past few weeks, but that's okay. Really excited for this video today in particular. I have with me
H, I'm late for work.
He's a familiar face here on my channel. A few months ago we hopped in the studio together and he recorded a Miranda Lambert cover, sorry. And if you haven't seen that video yet, I would definitely encourage you to go do so. He put in a lot of good work to make that video happen, and that was my first go at taking a little stab at production, but not what we're doing today. Instead, we are going to be taking a look at the guitar brand Harley Benton. This is a budget guitar brand that has been around for a while, has made quite a bit of noise in the budget market or budget guitar sphere with quite a few different models. Everything that would satisfy the needs of, say, your die-hard metal enthusiast to just classic rock, even to country. They've got a lot of interesting stuff going on, and well, we're going to take a look at some interesting instruments today in that regard. H here has been kind enough to pop into the studio again, and we're going to take a look at some, or a total of 5 instruments that he's brought with him. And we're going to start a little bit on the familiar side, but as we go along, the instruments are definitely going to get a little more interesting, and it's going to be stuff that I have not even ever put my hands on before. A little bit more about Harley Benton. They are... I'm sorry, the guy who founded it has a very German name, so I don't know how to properly pronounce it, but we'll put the info here on screen. So based in Germany, do a lot of their factory work out of, I believe it's China, Indonesia, and Vietnam. If I remember reading correctly off of Wikipedia, they've got like 20 or so factories that they work out of those countries, and possibly even a little further with some of the stuff they do in Germany as well. So again, interesting guitar brand. All the instruments that we have here today do have listings online. Availability may vary if you have any interest in them, but we'll certainly leave the links down there or in the video description if you're interested in checking anything that we demo here today. Also, obligatory, this is not a sponsored video by Harley Benton. This is just 2 dudes hopping together in the studio, checking out some really cool and interesting guitars. But, hey, Harley Benton, if you ever want to collab on anything, do let me know. I'm easy to get a hold of. I'd love to do so sometime. To get started, we have this beautiful Les Paul copy here. All right, I have H's phone here, but in particular, this is the SC500WH. I'm assuming that stands for white because they have 2 color options for white and black here. H, you want to talk about a little bit of why you picked up this particular one?
Well, mainly it's for my kid. He wanted a Les Paul body. That's kind of his thing. I'm more of an Ibanez body, kind of an RG kind of a body person. But he wanted a Les Paul and he wanted one in white, and we picked this one with the black pickguard on it and the gold accents. We swapped out the pickups. It's the only guitar you'll see today that's had any modifications done to it. The pickups that came with it weren't potted. They sounded horrible. Everything else I bought from them has been pretty good, but this thing, everything's great. The workmanship's good, but I gave it a full setup at Drum City Guitarland, and they put in some new pickups for me.
Go shout out Drum City Guitarland. I haven't been there yet, but I see they have a lot of cool stuff, so we'll maybe throw them in the description too. They'll get our unexpected shout out, but I know they got a lot of cool stuff they house over there too.
Yeah, they did good work with this guitar.
Awesome. Well, cool. So looks like it's just the pickups you threw in there with some Seymour Duncans. Was that any particular model pickup, or I'm not familiar with Seymour Duncan's?
It was just the model that he recommended that would give it the most of that Les Paul kind of a feel
gotcha.
to it. So more bluesy here, more rocky here.
Gotcha.
So,
but otherwise all stock still.
Everything else is stock. Everything with the pickups. So
is it just the usual 2 volumes and 2 tones, one for each pickup?
2 volumes, 2 tones, and you got the bridge pickup, both, and then the neck pickup here. So kind of like this Les Paul. It reminds me a lot of my old Ibanez Artist. If you guys remember the Ibanez Artist from the 80s, 84, 85.
That's a millennial moment. That's too far back for me.
Yeah. So that was my first guitar. It reminds me a lot of my first guitar. Although this one's a lot easier to play than the Ibanez.
So. Was that like the Ibanez, like the lawsuit Ibanez's, or?
That was the one where they were trying to kind of put in their own version of their Les Paul.
Oh, okay.
It had the double cutaway instead of the single cutaway.
Okay, gotcha.
The setup was almost exactly the same.
Cool. Another thing I should have mentioned earlier, we're going to take a look at some demos of these guitars. H is going to play them a little bit. There will be some that I play as well. But we're basically running into the same setup here. We're just running into my little Headrush pedal board. I'm gonna throw a little dirt on this for H to play with. Okay, we'll get a little more on the experimental side, so to speak. So we're busting out some 12 strings here. Specifically, H is rocking here the Harley Benton RB 612 BK Classic. I feel like I'm reading Ibanez guitar names because of all the letters. It's just a combination of such. So this is I'm not sure what Rickenbacker this is supposed to be a copy of. Do you happen to know?
No, it's one of their thin line semi-hollows, I would say.
Oh, cool.
So it's really light for a 12 string.
Sick. So it looks like we're running a similar situation here to that Les Paul copy we're looking at. So we've got a Nick and a bridge pickup, a 3-way toggle switch for them, and then appropriately as well, two volumes and 2 tones. Pretty solid. Specifically, it looks like we're running some mini humbuckers on this. I haven't actually seen one of those in person yet. Any guitar that runs mini humbuckers, but that's quite cool. you like Queens of the Stone Age? I like Queens of the Stone Age. Okay, I promised you weird. We're doing weird today. I have never seen a double neck guitar in front of me in person before. Like, even in going to like live shows, I've never seen one of these. So I'm pretty hyped and also kind of scared because, my goodness, is that thing kind of huge. So specifically, as far as Harley Benton goes, this is their DC Custom 612. So obviously the 612 implies this is a, it's a double neck guitar. It is a 6-string on top, or 6-string on bottom, sorry, and 12-string on top. In appearance, this is kind of similar to the Gibson. I believe it's, I get the model name right, I just did this in the tier list video that I did. It's the EDS 1275, which that particular Gibson is crazy expensive. You're looking at least, probably at least $1,200 for that particular guitar. H, how much did you pay on this one for?
I think it was under 500.
Oh wow, okay.
Yeah.
That's
but it
amazing.
takes forever to get them.
Kind of with these double neck instruments, typically what you got going on, of course, is you have one particular switch here. When I was playing with this a little bit earlier, I believe you got a switch here that you can switch between the two guitars. You can kind of run both, in what I've observed. Probably not generally a good idea to do, because it kind of starts sucking away from both guitars simultaneously. And that goes just across like most double neck instruments. That's just not limited to this particular Harley Benton. But otherwise, it's, what is this? You got, it looks like just a volume and a tone, and then it just, depending on which neck you're switching to, you've got 3-way switches on both. Is that right?
Yeah.
Sick.
Yep, that's it. Just volume and tone. And then there are different kinds of humbuckers on the 6-string has the different kind of humbuckers than the 12-string does. This kind of helps with the clean on the 12-string, but.
So, I have to ask, of course, what in the world got you into going for a double neck?
Well, I was kind of deep into my band for a while, and we were kind of cranking along, and I was collecting guitars, and I ran across this thing I thought would be kind of cool if we ever did any kind of a Zeppelin-y kind of a thing, or, you know.
I believe there's someone,
or Eagles.
Yeah, I think there's someone here in Denver, and one of the Led Zeppelin tributes is running around with something similar to this from what I've seen pictures of online.
Yeah.
Just in our local community and Facebook and whatnot. But no, that's really cool nonetheless. However, it does also reinforce a point I would personally like to make about these production runs of these double necks. Someone out there, please make a double neck 1212. I will buy that. I would absolutely love a double neck 1212. I don't care if I have to put 24 new strings on it. I will do it, and I will get Locky tuners for it. Someone out there, please do that.
Even though it's a thin line, it's really heavy. It's a thin, like, SG body, but
yeah,
it's meaty. It's not a lot.
Oh yeah, I would imagine.
Yeah, definitely don't want to play this for the whole set. Just a couple of songs.
Yeah, just a couple of songs, and it'll be like, oh, cool. I know more Queens of the Stone Age brain rot here for you today. Troy Van Leeuwen, especially in recent years, is kind of taken to running around on stage with not the SG style, but he still runs a double neck. I think it's a Fender, I believe, where it's a 12 on top and 6 on bottom, and he uses that on a couple songs. But that's also kind of why I would like to get a 12-12 kind of deal, is specifically for Queens of the Stone Age stuff. But I don't know, wishful thinking, but nonetheless, very blessed today to be in the presence of a double neck guitar that isn't a lap steel like I have, but that is just wicked.
It's all stock. The only thing that's been done to it is our friend Don DeMasi did a full setup on it, but nothing, that didn't change anything out, just new strings, that was it.
Sick.
Yeah, he made it sound really good.
Awesome. Well, let's take a look and listen to this a little bit. All right, let's hear it. Can you do the same exact thing on that? Cool. Let's get some dirt on there.
All right.
H, do you mind if I take the take the dirties for this one? Cause oh my goodness, oh god, I'm scared.
Take it for a spin.
I'm scared. If you notice, H plays with his guitar on his right leg. I play in the classical position with my left, or on my left leg here. I could only imagine what this would have to be like in a cover video to try and get this thing in frame properly. I don't know. I might have to hit you up and take this for a spin on a. If I ever do like another Queens of the Stone Age cover, I'll have to take this for a spin.
Anytime, brother.
All right, I will go ahead and try just the 6-string neck here, just to get a little more familiar before I cramp myself up here. We're still got a little bit more interesting stuff to do here, but thank you so much for bringing this in, because this is wild.
I'll bring it back for a longer stay.
But also still, anyone makes a production 1212 out there, please do so. I will be very happy if you do so. Okay, coming in next here, this is actually a bass guitar. This is the Harley Benton B650. This is in black. This is interesting for me because despite the fact as being a natural born bass player, I have never played a 6-string bass like you would traditionally expect a 6-string bass to be. So this is strung BAD GC as a 6-string bass tuning would normally go. From what I deciphered already, it's at a 34-inch scale. So pretty typical. Sometimes you see these 6-string basses at like 35, which is cool. So this actually kind of looks a little familiar to some of the controls I run on my Yamaha basses. So it's got active pickups for, active electronics is what it is for this particular bass. Looks like, I want to assume that's a 3-band EQ, is that right? Again, you could check the description. Check the description for the actual listing and it'll have all the proper specs and whatnot. Anything you got to say about this? Anything that spurred you on this one?
Well, you know, I really, really loved my Ibanez 4-string. And I figured if I was going to go 5, why get a 5, just jump right to 6. And this thing was the best bang for the buck, and it has not disappointed. It's a great guitar right out of the box.
Do you happen to know what the gauge on that high C string is? Because again, that's territory I've never gone into, so.
I don't recall. It's just, this is just like, we want to do all this stuff stock. This is all stock.
Yeah.
So it's just whatever came with it, and I never had it set up or anything. It's just great. The neck feels great, the strings are great, action's good.
Here's where I take a spin, everybody. I'm gonna try to be a little more jazzy today. See how that goes. that's a really interesting range because you're still doing the all-fours tuning that bass guitars usually do. And all right, the last instrument we have here today is probably the one that I've been the most excited about to come into this video with already looking at a double neck guitar. But this is Harley Benton's GuitarBass VS. Basically what this is going after is Fender, back in the, I believe it's the 60s, 50s, 60s, somewhere in that range. Fender introduced the Fender Bass 6. Basically what that was, pun intended, was a bass guitar that was tuned a whole octave underneath an E standard guitar. And the reason for that is before the age of like dark glass preamp pedals and very good tone enhancers, what engineers in the studio were doing was they wanted to get the upright bass in the mix a little more pop. So what they did was they recorded the upright bass part on the, you know, low, bellowy sounding upright bass, and then they would overlay this on top of it to give the bass a little more pop in, say, I think like car speakers and whatnot at the time. We're gonna demo this as both a bass and a guitar today. The reason for that being is that because this thing's at a 30-inch scale, a lot of this particular model, there's several other models of 30-inch scale baritone guitars anymore that are seeing a lot of life in terms of modern metal music. Loathe, a very cool British metal band. Have you ever heard of Loathe?
I've not.
We're gonna be listening to some Loathe after we do this video, because this instrument is prime for doing the stuff that kind of Loathe does. A lot of these Bass 6 models, and then also the 30-inch baritones that are just built as guitars, they're seeing a lot of use because you can tune stupid low with these and get a really cool metal sound out of them. Noting in particular that this particular instrument has single coil pickups, which some people do like in that low tune baritone guitar sort of deal. I believe it's, Fender has also put out the Baritone Jazzmaster, which is a discontinued model but has since exploded on the resale market because it's a very popular instrument. Because it's also at that 30-inch scale, has P90 style pickups, so effectively single coils. And then also with that, I believe there's some other interesting models that are doing that. Harley Benton actually also, aside from this Bass 6 model, they do have a, seeing as what Fender had done with the Baritone Jazzmaster, they went after that as well, and they have their own model of Baritone Jazzmaster as well that they sell. It's not this, obviously not this particular model, it's designed to look like Fender's Baritone Jazzmaster, but you know, these things are all kind of like, throw the right strings on them, dial in the tone, and you can come up with some really gnarly sounds with them. So we're gonna go ahead and take a look here. This instrument also has a 5-way pickup selector. We were also just kind of playing with that before we started here, and you can get some really interesting sounds out of that as well. Versatile instrument if I've ever seen one. Usually I play on stuff that's just really simple to operate, but no, I'm quite impressed with hearing that out of that on the bass side. We'll switch it over to the guitar side and see what happens. So ultimately, I think if you take the time, and if you're on a modeler like I am, and dial in just a really cool preset, yeah, you can get this thing pretty rocking pretty hard for acting as one of those beefy 30-inch baritones. I should also ask, H, what spurred you on this one? Any particular reason for grabbing this one?
Just some variety, just to kind of throw some other stuff in during gigs, just to play, do something different. Especially with some oldies, I figured it'd work better with some of the older stuff that we did. So, you know, 60s music, 70s music.
Oh yeah, well yeah, that's, of course that's what it was geared for.
Yeah.
And then you get to millennial age like me, and it's, no, we're just gonna chug low E's all day, baby. I have to also say, just because I've been in the market for possibly one of these, that this thing feels ridiculously good in the hands. Fretwork is pretty solid. I wasn't expecting it to maybe have a finished neck, because my custom baritones that I have don't have finished necks, but that's my undoing. I know there's one guy out there who at least has modded one of these extensively, more into the baritone guitar side. I think he kind of stripped everything out and put some humbuckers in there. So this would definitely be, at least if you're into that, if you would want to swap into some humbuckers. I believe there are conversion kits for this particular model that you could readily grab and, yeah, get yourself a humbucking baritone. H, I want to thank you a ton for bringing these in, man. This was very interesting to do because, again, some of these instruments, some I've had experience with, and I think my personal two favorites today were the double neck SG copy, and then this particular beast right here. I don't know. I have a goal in mind for something else related to my YouTube adventures, but I don't know. That goal might be interrupted by just grabbing one of these because it's, yeah, I could see myself sitting down with these and dialing it in really easy. And maybe even running one of those conversion kits as well. So again, H, you can find him on Instagram, Facebook, all that goodness. Also check out his music project, Late for Work. He's also really active in our scene here around in Denver. He's getting all sorts of pictures, showing up to all sorts of shows. So he's always a fun dude to see out and about on the town. So H, you have any closing words you want to give out here today?
That's it. Thanks for having me. It's glad that we get to share these guitars with you guys. Hopefully you found this interesting. But like we said, all these guitars were stock, except for the Les Paul has new pickups in it. That's it. Good stuff.
If you did like this, do let us know because we've already discussed, H kind of has another batch of interesting guitars from another maker, another budget maker that we may roll back on and bring that on here to the channel. So otherwise, hope you are all having a great day, everybody. We will see you all in the next video.